Or as William Saliba said on the eve of Arsenal against PSG, and we all know the two mistakes he's made against Real Madrid and also against Crystal Palace. It just shows he's human. Whether, I do think football, like life, is swings and roundabouts. Even the players that, well, very few of our players have been good from the start of the season and to the end. And even it happens, it fluctuates. I remember at the start of the season, people saying Isaac is having a slow season, whatever. They're not saying that about him. They're not saying that about Declan Rice. I'm pretty sure this season, Haaland was scoring goals for fun, had double figures, went on a drought. Everybody's saying he's finished. That is the society we live in. And obviously, these players are living or dying by the high standards they've set. Now, my personal opinion on William Saliba, on the grand scheme of things, he's been ever reliable. He's been good. Real Madrid, he dropped the clanger, but he still had a good game. I think of the 3 years since he's been reintegrated back into the first team or introduced to the first team properly under Mikel Arteta, this has probably been his lowest season. I think that's only because Saliba has set those standards. Yes, he needs to iron things out of his game. Yes, I do think he's shown leadership qualities, and big up Kivior, but when Gabriel Magalhaes got injured, if we expected any injuries or anything of that ilk or any mistakes, probably would have been on Kivior, not Saliba. Is he mentally fatigued? Is it just poor form? I don't know, but this is why you need depth, people, if I'm honest with you. I wouldn't say outright William Saliba is the best centre-back in the world, but he's definitely top 5, as is Gabriel Magalhaes. And between him and Gabriel Magalhaes together, I think there's two of the best centre-half partnerships in world football. There's not many that could say they're better than them. Now, I hope William Saliba signs a new deal. And it just shows football is about partnerships and relationships, because as good as Saliba is, how much errors or weaknesses in Gabriel Magalhaes' game does Saliba mask? How much masks or weaknesses does Gabriel Magalhaes mask of Saliba's? That's what relationships are about on a football field. So yeah, and I do think Saliba needs to do a bit better, but I actually like it's refreshing because he's given several interviews. He speaks about wanting to win trophies, realize his potential, all that kind of stuff. It's a bit mad. He's been here since 2019, but as you heard me say earlier, it feels like this, including now and hopefully this next season and many more, is when he's proper been an Arsenal footballer. He's had a couple of loans. He had that weird season where he didn't go out on loan, and then I think he went out on loan in the January, so he was 6 months in the wilderness. Everything Mikel Arteta has done, or Arsenal, for Saliba has worked out. The loan spells, all of that stuff, it's worked out. He's getting better and better. I do maintain, though, obviously, you could argue we had a bit of a toxic environment, all of that kind of stuff. Saliba's development was best served elsewhere. I just think at the time, though, when we had Socrates and Mustafi, all the joke man defenders, respectfully, I think we could have just went through, Saliba could have just been blooded in and done his thing. And he's still only 24, and he's played 129 times for Arsenal in these 3 seasons, and has placed a crucial part in their transformation under Mikel Arteta's Arsenal to become regular contenders in the Premier League title race. Despite his impressive displays, the Frenchman preferred to stay humble when comparing himself to the best defenders in European football. He said, "I think I'm one of the best, but not yet the best defender in the world. I can still become much better one day. I hope to improve." Amen. Now, Football London has said 12 players on notice as Andrea Berta clears decks on Mikel Arteta's spending spree. What do we make of that headline? What names do you think? Who would you let go? And there's a lot of moving parts. We need to buy players regardless. We need to sell players regardless. But again, interlaps, we might think players are moving on at left back and then they're not. So we might, not buy a left back, for example, and go in other areas. We might not think there's a winger on the market. I don't even know. We need a defensive reinforcement or two. Kivior's form might change things. You don't know. There's a lot of moving parts. There's probably players that, need to leave, are leaving. Again, we're hearing Partey could sign a new deal, but on paper, he's still leaving. Until we hear he signed a new deal, his contract is running out. Jorginho, 1 minute is Saudi, then it's Brazil, then it's actually staying at Arsenal, but he's leaving. Tierney, who I'd love to stay at the football club, and if he'd accept this role that he's in, rightly or wrongly, he's leaving. The Zinchenko's, the Kivior's, obviously minus Kivior's recent re-emergence in the team. Their futures are subject to speculation, and you never know where I don't know if you'd include Trossard because he got a year left on his deal, but the Trossards, the Martinelli's exaggeration, but the Salibas, the Magalhaes, maybe because of their contracts and stuff like that, maybe there's a potential unpopular sale or sale that we didn't foresee. I'm not really on that. I think we've got holes in our team that we need to address. I think we need to bring in quality into the starting 11, centre midfield, left wing and up front. I would like a defender. My first preference would be a Tomiyasu Timber, versatile kind of guy. But if you can get a left back or a centre half that can play left back or a centre half that can also play right back, is what it is. We need to sort out the goalies. When you do all of that and we flush out the majority of the players, then if we could do something crazy, rightly or wrongly. It is what it is. We know we're set for a busy transfer window, people, in the summer. Mikel Arteta said be excited. While we've never seen Berta give an interview or anything, they're just, I think the word I'm looking for in today's day and age, smash the like button, is also I'm looking for is aura. I think Berta's got some aura. Let's see the names, people. Here, Football.London takes a look at those players who are currently on notice for their positions in the Arsenal squad. Neto, he's only played once, and it was a bit of a terrible game. He'll go back to Bournemouth. Carl Hein, people, will return from Real Valladolid. I think he's injured at the moment, people. You never know, he could stay and be part of it, but it's probably best the young player moves on. There's an obligation in Nuno Tavares' loan deal at Lazio for them to buy. They'll probably buy him. He'll probably stay there for a year or two, or will probably be sold for a sizable profit. Tierney, nice to see him play, of course, but it's well known he's leaving. Zinchenko playing a bit part role, although because we might not have Marino, Jorginho might not be there. I say might not for these two, in the small hope that they're fit for PSG. Partey suspended for the first leg. It's weird because there's a case to put Lewis Skelly in midfield or put Zinchenko in midfield. I personally feel he'll probably put Rice on the right hand side, Zinchenko in midfield, Lewis Skelly stays left back. I think if he goes Lewis Skelly in midfield, I would naturally want to see Tierney, but I think just to kind of keep how we try and play, I think if you were to see Lewis Skelly play in midfield, which I know Ork unofficially basically does that, I think if Lewis Skelly plays in midfield, I think he'll play Zinchenko just so we can have the inverted stuff and all that kind of stuff. But this is why you need depth. If nothing more from this season, is something that a lot of us Arsenal fans already do. We need depth, whether it's players losing form, players physically or mentally tired, other players form, whatever. Mikel Arteta may be changing things. We've had a long season and we've got 2 semi-finals on paper. Obviously, we didn't do nothing against Newcastle. We hope we get over the line against Paris Saint-Germain. At the time of making this video, Liverpool probably become Premier League champions today. And what else is there? I think I've covered all 3-4 trophies, but you get the point. Kivior, you never know, people. There's interest in him allegedly from abroad, and he's likely to depart if the price is right. Now, I don't want to be reactionary, but could Kivior believe, you know what? I think I can, and you want him to think like this. I could take Magalhaes' spot. I want to prove to the manager that I'm better than little man minutes, or what has been the theme of Kivior going back to the 2022-23 season last year and this year, only really getting extended running the team when there's injuries. Maybe Mikel Arteta says, you know what? Maybe if there's not, because I genuinely feel there's a lot for Mikel Arteta to learn from this season. Maybe one of them for me as an ignorant fan, and I know there's a fine line. I'm not as heavy on rotating and rest and all that stuff as some people, but there is scope for that. And I think maybe Mikel Arteta, with the injuries we've had, with obviously, you look at a couple of those players on the fringes, Kivior, Zinchenko actually playing in midfield, not really substantial minutes, but Tierney maybe understands that I need to hold on to a couple of players who they might not be flavor of the month for the majority of the season, but there might be a run of games for them. So I don't know. But is that human, me, people? Let me know your thoughts. Even if Kivior's form and 2 big games against Real Madrid has changed Arteta's thinking, I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm also going to ask, is that right? Because we've done this before. It's not the same, but Maitland-Niles, his stock he looked like he's leaving, played well, run a form. It looks like you're staying. We're rejecting offers. And then obviously you all know what happened. Sometimes is there scope to sell when the price is kind of quote unquote high? I'm not sure, people. And well, to be fair, Kivior, he's always linked with Italian clubs. Whether they've placed offers is another thing. But maybe there's legit offers en route now. Zinni was linked with Borussia Dortmund. Ironically, the shirt I'm wearing in Atletico Madrid in January. That were happening. On Partey, there's been talks about a renewal, but remains to be seen if that will come obviously to life. Jorginho's leaving. Obviously, Fabio Vieira has been hit and miss. I agree with that at Porto. He could still have a future at the Emirates, but simply could move on. I think it comes down to, if we goes out on loan again, I think it just comes down to finances. I think Fabio Vieira is one of those weird ones that you could find yourself still at the club in the summer, whether that's right or wrong. We all know on Lokonga's deal, he's got a year left on his deal come the summer. Sevilla have a buy option. They're clearly going to try and negotiate that lower. Obviously, Reece Nelson, we almost forget he's here. Apparently, Fulham are interested in signing him permanently. And we know Sterling is going as well. And I don't think they're going to be sold, but you could add potentially Martinelli, potentially Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes because of the contracts. And actually, I don't know if the injuries changed it, but Magalhaes, there's been rumors of Saudi. There's food for thought for Arsenal. So we'll have to see, man. There's very few players that you could say there's no speculation at whatsoever, better yet, about their futures. Graham Bailey of TBR Football has said Garcia will be offered first-team chances in Italy, Germany, and England. And apparently Arsenal might struggle to sign the goalie. Arsenal still want Garcia, but they are releasing that mounting interest in the goalkeeper is going to be tough to make a deal done. He's being linked with a lot of clubs. Interesting, a lot of clubs who have already an outstanding first choice goalkeeper, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure. We have to look at alternatives. You can go for Garcia, Zubamendi, Nico Williams, Gyökeres, this one, that one. We're not the only ones interested, and by all means, go for them. If they're your players, great. But just make sure we're able to pivot, because we've seen sometimes not doing anything can work. We've stuck to our guns sometimes. We haven't done what we've normally used to do many years ago, just sign players for the sake of it. But then and it's worked. But then sometimes not doing anything, you're kind of kicking a can down the road, and you can see the inevitable. We said in the summer, if everybody's fit, we're still short on numbers. We didn't have the summer we wanted in terms of depth or in terms of quality. January, for one reason or another, we didn't sign anybody, and we all know how it worked out. Apparently, Arsenal are interested in a couple of other goalies. Brighton and Hove Albion's Carl Rushworth could be an option for Arsenal, a 23-year-old homegrown keeper who has proven his quality on loan in the Football League. We've been linked with him last summer. Dan Bentley, we're linked with the Wigan goalie, so maybe an English homegrown-y one to be second or third choice could be an avenue. Apparently, we are interested in Yaha Fufana at Angers in Liga, but he could be in a similar situation to Garcia. Fufana is excelling as Angers number one right now. It has to be questioned if he'd leave that role to be back up elsewhere. A difficult one to get right for Arsenal, and no one could blame Garcia for choosing a side like United or Bournemouth if it is promised a more realistic path to becoming first choice goalie. Simultaneously, though, you do see rumours that he's convinced of Arsenal and all of this kind of stuff. We all know he's got a 25 million release clause, so we'll have to watch and monitor that closely. Once again, we've been linked with him: United, Manchester City, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid, Bayern Leverkusen. Everybody and their dog has been interested allegedly in the 23-year-old. He's got 25 million euros release clause, which could rise to 30 million if the transfer is not completed before the last 15 days of the transfer window. Arsenal certainly have the financial muscle to get a deal done as they look to complete the signing quickly. Apparently, he has all the attributes to become a top-class keeper, and he could be a great asset in the long term. So you never know. I ain't seen it in a while, but we've seen it with Emi Martinez, with Leno, with Ramsdale, with Raya. Arteta isn't shy to sign a goalie. And again, for someone that's 23, playing first team football, spoken about as potentially being a Spanish number one, at some point, somebody's going to have to make the decision. Is Raya going to be first choice, or is Garcia going to be first choice? Or are we going to actually see, which I don't think is going to happen, like more rotation at goalkeeper? I don't think that's the case. City want him. Ortega and Edison are linked with moves away. I don't think Man United be the worst of moves, because you got to back yourself to be better than Onana if you're a top goalie like him. Chelsea send Nico Williams to Arsenal as Blues take 80 million euro transfer gamble. Chelsea allegedly are ready to allow Nico Williams to sign for Arsenal, but are instead chasing their priority target on the left wing in a dramatic transfer market twist. Nico Williams is one of the most wanted players as the summer approaches. We all know about his 58 million release clause. We know Barcelona, Chelsea, and Arsenal have all been interested. Jamie Gittins, who's been linked with Arsenal and is apparently ahead of Nico Williams on the shortlist at Chelsea. Apparently, Chelsea are putting all their eggs in that basket, which would make sense. You see in a lot of, Chelsea have a couple of staff members that used to be at City. Is it any coincidence? Jadon Sancho, Lavia, Gittins, this one, that one, people that have crossed paths at Man City are arriving at their football club. I mean, it doesn't just necessarily mean that, because Chelsea will be one of the 55 teams to drop out the race. We also have been linked with Gittins. We hear he wants to make the move to England, so we have to see. Yesterday, we did see that allegedly the Daily Mirror report Arsenal want to sign 2 forwards in the summer in a bid to get us over the line in the title race. I'd all be up for a Gyökeres and a Ollie Watkins, or a Gyökeres and a Sesko, or Liam Delap, or whatever have you, like a rotationary striker. We were yesterday linked with Christopher Nkunku, who's expected to leave Chelsea this summer. Arsenal and Bayern Munich were both interested in the player in January and are expected to return in the summer, with other clubs also in the race. Conde, who scored in the El Clasico, the Copa del Rey final for Barcelona, has emerged as a defensive target for Arsenal. Apparently, his versatility is an appeal to Mikel Arteta, who is ready to make a 55 million offer if he senses a deal is possible. However, pricing him out of Barcelona might be difficult. I mean, he's winning trophies in the semi-finals. I don't know. Demarzio has said Andrea Berta knows Nico Williams well and tried to get him to Atletico Madrid. Chelsea tried to get him too last summer. Maresca will come back to him with Chelsea. Arsenal will try to get him too. It's the right moment for him to try the Premier League challenge. Only if at Arsenal does it matter. Apparently, Arsenal still expect to sign Martin Zubamendi and expect him to choose North London instead of Madrid. Apparently, Arteta wanted him in January. That weren't possible. We've been linked with Desire Doué of PSG, who we're going to see across two legs or 180 minutes. We should have bought him at Rennes. I've been wrong about a lot of footballers. This one was one I was right on. I'd still want him. If we really are joining Chelsea, Manchester United, and Manchester City and going for him. Why not? And I think it'd be 100 million well spent, but I just don't believe it. Juventus will sell Vlahovic this summer. Arsenal and Bayern Munich allegedly are both interested. Aston Villa are preparing to receive offers for Ollie Watkins this summer. Chelsea joining Man United, Arsenal, and Liverpool in expressing interest for the forward. We've gone over William Saliba. I don't think there's anything new there, people. What is this? Adam Wharton, people, who's been linked with us and did very well in the semi-finals against Aston Villa. I'd love him. The thing is, he's just going to cost stupid money, which if you're Crystal Palace, you should do. That's what football is now. It pays to be proactive. You look at Newcastle with Goalkeeper, Isaac, Anthony Gordon. To a degree, I know his stock isn't as high, but West Ham with Kudus, you know, the bunch of players really at Bournemouth. But Brighton got them all the time. But Lemba, for example, you get these players in early, their price tag balloons. There's money in the Premier League. It's not necessarily what a player's worth anymore. And, you know, Palace clearly want to sell him. I mean, keep him. I mean, I think he can do it all. He can be a traditional, like, ball box-to-box midfielder. I think he's gracious on the ball. I think he plays that in a nice way on the ball. Wharton plays at like one pace. I think he's a perfect midfielder for Arsenal. It's going to cost a lot of money. Arsenal allegedly have made a massive offer for Victor Gyökeres ahead of the summer transfer window, according to reports. We've heard this numerous times. Mikel Arteta has previously said, you know, that we're going to have a big summer. And he said squad quality and availability. Without those, we cannot compete in 4 competitions. At this level, especially in this country, it's possible. The higher the quality, the higher the availability, the more chances you have. After you have to do it, but the probability goes high. I hope that Berta has many more ideas, surprises, and positive ones. I think we're all on that. We all know we love Isaac. That isn't happening, people. Gyökeres has been linked with Real Madrid and everybody and their dog, people. Apparently, reports in Spain insist that Arsenal made a massive offer to secure the signing of Gyökeres, with the Gunners willing to invest close to 80 million euros to secure a signature. What is that? About 67, 8, 9, 7, early 70s. I don't know, people. Bring him to the carpet for me, man. The Gunners need to find a difference-making number 9 and has put Gyökeres at the top of the priority list at the Emirates Stadium. They believe his arrival could be key to making the competition leap they so crave, especially on big Champions League nights. Careful, we saw Mikel Marino do it. The Swede has proven to be much more than just a finisher. His mobility, link-up play, and dedication under pressure are qualities that fit perfectly with Arteta's style. We've also heard that the background tracks off the field have worked, and we've also heard coming into this, Andrea Berta is a big fan. David Ornstein spoke about our interest in Gyökeres and spoke about Partey potential renewal, so kind of fuel to the fire. While Sporting Lisbon is trying to hold out and raise the price of its star player as much as possible, expectations are growing in London over a potential signing that could change Arsenal's attacking outlook. Gyökeres, for his part, welcomes a bigger challenge in a league as demanding as England, people. And we've also heard several rumours in relation to him, so we're going to have to see. Chelsea pushing harder than Arsenal, Liverpool and Man United for Yildiz. I think Yildiz is unlucky, man. I think Turkish football fans with him and Arda Güler should be very happy, but I think he's unlucky that, and he done well in the El Clasico, but Arda Güler is, smash the like button, Arda Güler is just he's a star as well, but real star quality. I'd love Arsenal to sign the Juventus lad, but I think they'll price him out of a move. And I think it's easy to link Juventus with selling players because they've made a mare in terms of buying and a mare in terms of selling. Like they let that Hoisling guy go to Bournemouth for peanuts and then spent 20 million on Lloyd Kelly. So because of that, and because they look like they might not get Champions League football and actually a couple contracts are running down, I think it's easy to link Juventus players with quote unquote moves away. But, you know, Cambiasso, who's linked with Man City in January, they'll probably go back there. You know, Vlahovic is a situation to monitor. There'll be several, in my opinion, before you get to see Yildiz leave, but you never know. Money talks in this life. Arsenal apparently went cold on Cunha as he moves ever closer to signing to Manchester United. Apparently, people, that's why Arsenal have gone cold on the idea of signing Cunha, because they've done reference checks on his character and realized that he's actually not the type of player Arteta wants to work with. I don't know, man. I've only seen issues about him on top of the field. So I don't know, people. We've also been linked with Jarek Gazarowski from Valencia, 20 years of age, plays for Spain at youth level, signed a new deal until 2027, I believe, in February. I don't mind signing a defensive reinforcements, and yeah, I'm all on that if it is going to be the case, man. So we're going to have to see, man, what exactly Arsenal Football Club do.